If you're like me, your favorite thing to dust off and pull out of the closet when the colder weather hits is your boots. And I have a cute accessory for you to pair with those: leg warmers. The Harvest leg warmers are the perfect accessory to keep cozy and stylish as the temperatures drop. They're easy to customize for both fit and aesthetic. For this pattern, you are going to need approximately 70 to 250 yards of worsted weight yarn. This would be completely dependent on your size, as this is a custom size pattern, a J hook, tapestry needle, scissors, and measuring tape, and optionally you can add some ribbon, which I'm going to be doing in this video. First thing we'll need to do is take our gauge. Using your J hook and your worsted weight yarn, you're going to make a gauge swatch of double crochets. You should have 14 double crochets in 4 inches and 9 double crochet rows in 4 inches. If it takes fewer stitches or rows to meet your 4 inches, try using a smaller hook. If it takes more stitches or rows, try using a larger hook. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the Harvest leg warmers using your own measurements. This is a customize your size type pattern. But if you do purchase the PDF pattern or go get the pattern off of my blog for free, I do have sizing for this. Measurements in the pattern are for these slightly shorter leg warmers that sit just about where the calf starts to widen on the leg, above the ankles. This is the measurements for length that you will find in the pattern, but length is completely adjustable to what you like. And in today's video, I'm going to be making something a little bit different, and I'm probably going to go a bit longer, but just for your information, if you do use the pattern, that it is a shorter style. This leg warmer is made so that it is tight at the calf, and then it has a slight flare out, and it's to be worn over boots or shoes and loosely. So the most important measurements you're going to need are around your calf, where it will sit and need to be held up, and then the length that you're going to want it to be. So pick how long you want it to be, and then measure where that would land on your calf. So to begin our leg warmers, we are going to start with a chain. So first step is going to be creating a slip knot. I create my slip knots by taking the tail of my yarn, putting it over my working yarn, and then behind, and then you should have a loop here. Grab that tail and pull it through. So now you're going to want to chain, and you're going to want to chain an even number of chains. And you're going to want the length of the chain to be about an inch or 2, depending on how stretchy your yarn is. You want it to be at least an inch smaller than the calf measurement that you want. So my calves measured 16.5 inches. So I am going to chain until I have an even number of chains that hits about 15.5 inches. And when you're measuring your chain, you want to make sure that you're measuring it relaxed, that you're not stretching it, because you want to have that stretch to get it around your foot and onto your calf. And once you have the chain length that you want, you're going to go ahead and loop it and join to the first chain you made with a slip stitch. For round 1, we'll chain 2. And then we are going to double crochet in each chain around. So you should have the same amount of double crochets as chains that you made for your size. And once you've made a double crochet in each of your chains, you're going to join to the first double crochet with a slip stitch to finish the round, and you want to make sure that you're not twisted and that everything sits the same direction on that, and that's the end of round 1. So now we'll start round 2, and for round 2 we are going to start creating our cuff texture, and we are going to do that using front post and back post double crochets. So first thing we'll do to begin is chain 1, and then we are going to work a front post double crochet around the first stitch. And how you'll do that is yarn over, and then you'll see this is your post in your stitch, and you're going to go
behind it and then back out, so that you're going to actually work, and this makes it the front, a double crochet around that post, and that brings it to the front. So then the next one, the next post, as you can see here, when you kind of pull your stitches a little bit, you can see it. This is the next post. We'll yarn over, and this one we want to do a back post, so we're going to go behind over the stitch and then back out, and then that way you work the double crochet on the back of the fabric. So you'll see this one is in front and this one is in the back. So I'll show you one more time. The next stitch, which is right here, we will work a front post double crochet. So we'll go front to back behind the stitch and then back out so that the stitch is sitting on top of your hook like that, and then you will work a double crochet as normal around it. And then next we will work a back post double crochet around this stitch right here. So we'll yarn over and we'll go from back to front in front of that stitch and then back out and work a double crochet as normal. So that is how you do the front posts and the back posts. So we're going to continue that all the way around. You should have the same amount of stitches as the previous round when you're done. And when you come to the end, if you have an even amount of stitches, like you should end with a back post double crochet in the last stitch, and then you can join to the first stitch with a slip stitch to finish off round 2. So now we'll start round 3. Round 3 is going to be exactly like round 2. So now chain 1 to start, and we're going to do front post double crochet around all of the front post double crochets from below, and back post double crochets around the back post. So this should be a little easier than the first round because you're just simply lining them up on top of the same stitch from below, and now they stick out a little bit since doing that. So we're going to repeat front post double crochet, back post double crochet all the way around again. And once you get to the end of that, you can go ahead and join to the first stitch with a slip stitch to finish the round, and you should again have the same amount as the row below. And this actually finishes off our ribbing. So if you want to, this is a good place to stop and to actually, if you're making them for yourself or if the person you're making them for is available for you, to try them on and make sure that you can get it over your foot, because sometimes you can make them a little too small and they won't go over your foot, and that it fits it comfortably and it's just snug enough. You don't want it too tight, but snug enough that it won't fall down. Right, and if your fit feels good and you're ready to move on, we can go to round 4. For round 4, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to just double crochet in each stitch around. But when we get to the end, we are not going to join. We are going to be moving on to working continuous rounds, and I'll show you how we do that when we get there. But for now, go ahead and place a double crochet in each stitch around until you get to that last stitch, and then we will do something a little different. Okay, so what we're going to do when you get to the end of round 4, how we're going to transition into working the continuous rounds, is that we're actually going to place one more double crochet, but we're going to put it into that same stitch as your first double crochet. So go into that same stitch. So you're kind of crossing over into that area. Okay, so put it into the same stitch as the first stitch of your round. And then this is where we're going to start to work in continuous rounds. So this is the point where you're going to want to get your stitch marker out. I have a stitch marker. I can't decide if I want to use the bow because it matches my nails or the little cake because it matches the yarn. I think I'll use the bow so it can contrast with it. Those are both part of my Garden Tea Party stitch marker set, and that's in my Etsy shop if you're interested. So I have my stitch marker and I'm going to place it. I like to place my stitch markers in the first stitch of the rounds. If you prefer to have it in the last stitch, that's fine. So if you want it in the last stitch, you might want to place it now, but we will begin round 5. And round 5, we're going to be working into the back loops only. So to work into the back loop, you'll see you have your V, you have your front loop, the one closest to you, and then you have your back loop, the one behind it. So we are going to double crochet into just that back loop. So we'll place our double crochet, and this is the one that I'm going to go ahead and place my stitch marker in. So that I know where my rounds are ending or beginning. All right, and so now for the rest of this round, we're just going to do the same thing. Double crochet, back loop only in each stitch around. And you can see that it's going to push these stitches forward. I'll show you on. This is how you're going to get this texture, this lined texture onto your fabric, is with those back loops. So this will be the right side of your fabric. So just continue to place those double crochet back loop only all the way around until you get to that last stitch. It might also be helpful for you if you're making a custom size and you're not working off of one of the predetermined sizes from the blog, to jot down some notes about your stitch counts. And so you might just want to jot down what you got so that when you come back and you do your second leg warmer, you can get all of the same numbers. And I've made my way back around to my stitch marker, so that's the end of round 5, and I should have the same amount of stitches as the previous row. All right, and now for round 6. Round 6, we are going to do the same exact thing. We are going to double crochet, back loop only, each stitch around. So I will remove that stitch marker, make my first stitch for round 6, and then put that stitch marker back, and continue placing a double crochet back loop only in each stitch around. All right. And that is the end of round 6, and you should again have the same amount of stitches as the row below. Now we are going to begin round 7, and this is going to be our first increase row. And we're going to increase just a little bit. You want to increase about 3 to 5 stitches, so you might need to alter this depending on the size you're making. If you're making a children's, you might need to do less stitches in between your increases, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to double crochet back loop only in the next 9. So I'm going to double crochet that first one and then place my marker again. So 1, then we are going to increase the next, so we are going to place 2 double crochets in the back loop only of the next. And then we're going to repeat 9 double crochet, 2 double crochet in the next around as many times as we can. And or if you've adjusted because you've got a smaller size that can't fit 3 to 5 increases with 9 stitches between, whether you do 4 and then an increase or 5 and then an increase, just repeat that around until you can't fit any more repeats. All right, now I have done my repeat of 9 double crochet and then a double crochet increase as many times as I can. So now from here, I'm just simply going to double crochet the amount of stitches I have left. And for me, I went up 4, so your stitch count will just go up how many ever increases you used. And so now I'll just go ahead and double crochet back loop only in each stitch until I reach my stitch marker. And that will create a slight flare that will help our leg warmers fit over your shoes or your boots or whatever you're going to be wearing with them. If you wanted something that was more of a straight fit, I would just skip that row and keep going with the double crochet back loop only rows, just repeating along. So now from here, we are simply going to be double crocheting back loop only each stitch around until we get to about a 1/2 inch from your desired length. And once we hit that 1/2 inch, we'll add we'll add a lace row, which will take us to the full length. So go ahead and just continue to work double crochet, back loop only, each stitch around until you are at that length. Now, once you have worked your leg warmer to the length you want, we can go ahead and finish it off with a lace border. So to do that, we are actually going to half double crochet 2, single crochet 2, and then slip stitch the next. And that just kind of evens out our rows so they match up and closes off those continuous rounds. Now we will chain 3 and double crochet into that slip stitch we just made. And now we have a nice new round started. And for this round, we are simply going to do a repeat of skip 2 and double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, or a V-stitch in the next. So skip 2 and double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in the same stitch. And we're going to repeat that around for as many times as you can. And once you've made your way around and you've done your repeat as many times as you can, you should have somewhere between 1 and 3 stitches remaining. And you're just going to skip whatever's remaining. You shouldn't have any more than that. If you have more than that, go ahead and place one more repeat. And then to finish off this round, we're just going to go into the second chain of the chain 3 and slip stitch to finish that off. And now for the very last round of our leg warmer, we are going to create some Picot stitches on our little border here. So to begin, we're going to just slip stitch into the chain space that's left after we worked into the second chain of that chain 3. There's one more chain and then the double crochet. So we're going to slip stitch into that chain space. We're going to chain 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into the same chain space. And it should create this little Picot right here. All right. And then you're going to skip the next double crochet, skip 1, slip stitch into the next, slip stitch into the chain space, chain 3, slip stitch into the next into the same chain space. Okay, so skip next double crochet, slip stitch into the next, slip stitch into the chain space, chain 3, slip stitch into the same chain space. So you'll see that you can't even really see that double crochet stitch there. So that's the one we skip. We go into the next double crochet, slip stitch, go into the chain space, slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch into that same chain space. And we're making these cute little peacocks. So we're going to repeat that all the way around for our last round. And when you've worked into the very last one, I just like to slip stitch into that chain again, treating it like a double crochet, and we're good. Now we can cut our yarn and fasten off. And there is our leg warmer. And now what's left to do is make another one. So hopefully you kept track. If not, hopefully you can count on your project, but you're going to want to go back. The timestamps for the beginning of the leg warmer is here. If you just go back to that, you can follow along through the process again with me. If you can remember it, then you can just go for it. And I will see you when you have 2 leg warmers. And once you've made that second one, you can weave in your ends, and you now have 2 leg warmers to pair with your fall and winter outfits, or even probably spring. I've seen these worn with little like sundresses and stuff and tights, and it's pretty cute. So that's it for the pattern. But I am going to try one more thing with these, and I just thought I would share it in the video. So I got this ribbon. What do they call this? Cotton frayed ribbon. It came in a couple colors, but I liked this white color, and it just has this frayed edge on it that I thought was really cute. And so I'm actually going to take a length of these and run them through my my ribbing section and tie them in a bow, and we're gonna see how that looks. All right, and there it is with 2 bows. I really like it. I might even go through and do it with a longer one so they hang down even more, because I think that would also be cute. But those are the Harvest leg warmers, a little more coquette style. You can also make them in the shorter, more rustic look to them without adding a bow. Either way, either the shorter style in some rustic color, or even the tall ones in rustic colors, a shorter style with some bows. There's so many ways that you can make these fit your personality and your personal style. Thanks for making some leg warmers with me, and remember that if you want to make these in other sizes, the pattern is available for free on my blog at woodlandstitchcraft.com. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more that come out. I love seeing pictures of your makes. You can always tag me on Instagram at woodland.stitchcraft to share. Or if you're interested, you could always purchase the ad-free PDF version on Etsy, Ravelry, Lovecrafts, or Ko-Fi. The links to everything you need are down in the description.